Oh yeah, seems like ages, don't it, since I did the last class. And I've never stopped, would you believe? I can only do this one today because I'm going to over to Yorkshire tomorrow for the weekend working. So we're doing a workshop Saturday, staying over tomorrow, so I'll have to go at dinner time. And then so the next class is going to be next week, and it's painted in the style of, so I'll put something up. It'll be class 6 as well, so we'll be halfway through the 12. Okay, I will get through them. I just don't know when I'll have time. Anyway, very busy at the moment, which is what we like. Okay, so this fella, I can't remember if I've done him before actually, and I've had a problem with my printer because although you've got a black and white image, I usually print them off in black and white to do the same. The problem is my black ink's not working, so I've told the company, but they said send it back, so I've no black ink, so I can't print it off. So I have got a colour version of it, so I'm going to use that, but I'm going to close my eyes to the colours and just use my own. Okay, might use a little bit different this time, but I can put lots of colours, splashes and things, and then create a head from it, instead of trying to paint it boringly using, well, in colour is just burnt sienna, isn't it? But it's just boring really. So we can use different colours and glazes. Alright, and we'll see what happens. And the light's coming from right above anyway. So I'm going to sketch it out and then throw some colour at it. Again, probably using a bit of cerulean blue, ultramarine, alizarin, burnt sienna. Not be using any yellow, I don't think. Sun's shining now, it's a bit cold, but nobody with me. I bet everybody's forgot today. I don't blame me because I don't know how I'm coming or going. Anyway, so I'm going to draw the head. We always start with an egg. I know that his chin is going to be around here, and he's wearing his turban or whatever they call it. Turban on his head, and then we could do a bit of that detail if you wanted to, but it doesn't really matter. So we get an egg shape. It's a side tail, but I'm not bothered about it. I'm just going to do a straight line straight down the middle. So this is a soft pencil. I hope you can see it. The eyes are always in the middle, like that. So you got a halfway point. You can measure it. Chin, halfway, top of head. Okay. Sockets in the middle. Now you can't see his eyes. They're quite hidden in dark in the shadows. But you put the 3 sockets in. The head's about 5 sockets wide. You can get another couple at the side. And we can imagine that the pupil is right in the middle and his iris, which is going to be covered up. So we know it's there, we just can't see it. And then if you put the eyelid in like that on both sides, you'll get the same kind of shape. Just draw the shape of his eyelid and the shape of his eye, because that's the eye, and that's the eyebrow area coming down there, so that's where the creases are in his forehead. Okay, and we've got these lovely kind of shapes that connect the eyebrow area, but you can see where the shadows are and the thickness of his top eyelid. Okay, so we put that in, don't we? Because it's well, that's the darkness, and then underneath, because we can't see anything here, we just draw a shadow where the nose is going to be. So we got he's got quite a wide nose actually. You can drop a line down from each iris like that. His nose is quite wide. That's where it sits on the face, halfway point, more or less. Okay, and then the tip of the nose is about here, but then you can see the shadow underneath, so you get this kind of shape, don't you? Like that. So this is where you're getting this big shape of his nose. These are shadows going into the eye area. Alright, quite a big area, because the eye would cover all that socket, but we can't see them. All we can see is 2 lines here, and then the shape of a shadow coming down, which goes into just about where the socket finishes. So you got these bags under his eyes there, which actually sit on that socket. So we put those in as well. Yeah. So we put everything in. We can put the shape of the eyebrow in as well, because that's quite an interesting shape. It's all makes the guy look like he looks. That's the light. That's the side of his nostrils there, which is going to be kind of curvy bit like that. That's the width of his nose, quite big. Nice light in the middle there, and then you've got these angles at the side, so you've got these shapes. Then you get to the mouth, okay, and the mouth area is going to be, there's a kind of moustache and a couple of lines here where you're getting this shape of creases at the side of his face, like that, and then the negative space between that and his moustache, which you always get a kind of line in the middle. And then I do a zigzaggy line where the moustache is going to be. Okay, we can see the bottom lip, the top lip, just about. Looks like he's talking. And then you can see the bottom lip. I don't think he's got any teeth in. So we got that dark shape. Then we got the creases in the mouth. Now we get to the egg, and as you can see, I've come to the bottom of the egg, and his chin's longer than that, so I need to move that, because if you look at the chin, we can measure that. It's about the size of the socket of its eye, so it needs to be here. Okay, so it goes in, and then we got this like the bags, lines in his face, which create this shape like that. Put everything in. It's the beauty of doing an older bloke, especially sun-kissed kind of bloke, because he's always had the sun on his skin, and you get these creases like that. That's what you do the same here, and it's actually coming down crease from the corner of his cheek down the side of the mouth like that, and then into his under the chin, you know, like that. Same with this one, really. Crease goes in, comes out, so you get this bulldog kind of look. And then the other one, again, you've got the same kind of thing there, which is about, you've got another one there, you've got two here. So something like that, yeah. Then you go to the corner of his eye, look at the distance between the eye, crow's feet, quite a lot of them, put them in. The shape of his forehead, the temple, I should say. And then this turban goes all, the head scarf goes all the way off your picture, comes down past that ear, okay, and then we do a negative space. Can't see this here, I can just about see it, it's about there. All this is in shadow, all that's in shadow. You know, if it helps, just shadow it off and make it appear later. And then we've got his neck, which is there, and his shirt collar is going off the picture. So we've got the shirt collar, and the same here. It's a bit too big for him. Like that. Shirt collar, put that there as well. Angle of a button or whatever. Hook it up, and then when we add the headscarf to him, so we get this shape like this. We should end up with something very similar to what we're looking at. When we do portraits, never just try and get a likeness. You'll start doing too much detail too soon. But if you put everything in that's in the right place, you know, it should end up looking like him. So, you know, just draw what you see. Don't make it up. We know that your brain's quite clever, and we remember everything we see. But your brain does get in the way sometimes, because it sees too much, and it tells you what you should be doing, but you don't want it to, do you? And then we've got this shoulder, something like that. Okay, I'm going to do it in pen, because I need to rub out a few of my lines, especially the straight ones. Okay, so we can do the same thing. I'll just roughly put this eyebrow in and the shadows. So we've got this shadowy bit, yeah, like that. They nearly meet. So you got this lovely curve of that eye. Look at the pupil and the iris. Again, like you can't see it, but it's going to be in shadow, isn't it? You can put those lines in, roughly. Tip of the nose, underneath, nostrils. I can see like that. The side of his moustache coming down into the mouth area. So it gives that jagged edge, side of his nose. Like that. 2 lines on his nose. Like I say, it doesn't really matter what you draw, because it's an old chap, so you might have a few extra lines by the time we finish. Doesn't matter, does it? You can have some lines in his forehead. That lovely highlight there. This is the turban, or his headscarf, I call it, nice turban. So we've got this lovely shape of the headscarf, yeah. Like that. And then just draw that. Quite quick. Do angles if you can, rather than curves. You get a much better feeling for shapes by doing angles. This goes off the picture actually. We come around here and then we just get this shape where the ear is, like this, and then we get the creases and his inside of his face. There's only one there, but you got this one here, which kind of overlaps. You got the bottom lip, shape of his chin, and then there's a bit of light there as well on his chin, like that, going into the mouth area, corners of his mouth. Alright, and these lovely lines at the top of his eyebrows, which you can't see because he's got none. And then the shape of the turban, and the headscarf, stop calling it turban, headscarf out the back here, shape of his creases in his face. They all go to make up the character of the bloke. Okay? And like I said, because it's an old chappie, we don't have to spend ages making him look beautiful, do we? Not trying to make him look beautiful. Anyway, shoulders and whatever you've got there. Sometimes you can leave, depends on what kind of painting you want to do. You can have something quite loose and you know, kind of nearly abstract. We can leave some of these lovely lines in. And like I said, these shadow bits make really interesting shapes. So we just want to make. I need to draw these shadows. That's what I'm saying. So I know where to paint them darker later. Don't I? You know, it's like creases in his nose and things, all coming from this angle, side of his nose. Okay, and that's it. We can do a few creases for the nose in his forehead. Just a few, not too many. Don't press on too much. That's quite nice. That'll do. Yeah, that'll do. That's his ear. So cross hatch a little bit if you want to. Make it easier for yourself, you know. And the mouth area. It's quite dark all over there, and then it comes out. So you get this really lovely curve in there, and the shape of the. This is quite dark as well, but I might let that drip. Alright, and then we go about our pencil. So like I said, I want to go about some of these shapes that are relevant. It's like the line in the middle of his forehead and his face. We don't need that now. We don't need, we need some of the shapes. Creases, you need creases like that. We need these crow's feet. We don't need other lines, the straight line there, under his nose and things. We're going to paint that. I'm going to throw a lot of colour onto this just to create some textures first and some colour, turn him into a colourful character. Okie dokie. Get rid of the chin area, side of his chin, jaw. I can see, have the creases. I think that's right. Looks like there's another crease there. No, that's a bit too far, actually. It goes in a bit. Okay. Don't be fussy. That's the main thing. Don't go fussy. I'll just take this line out here. Use the image as a reference. Don't need to do everything in it. I'm not doing it for Christmas. Okay. Don't know who he is, but he's got a very character-filled face. Okay. I'm going to put my board slightly at an angle because I don't want it to run too much. Okay. I'm going to look at the picture. I'm going to add some like lovely colours everywhere really. We're going to start adding warms up here and then some cools and then alizarenes and blues. We can add some ceruleans. So I need to get the colours out. Red siennas is the majority of the colour in his face, but I don't want a lot of that really because it's distracting. We've got alizarin, we've got ultramarine. I don't think I'll be using green actually. And then we've got cerulean, cadmium yellow. It's a bit too yellowy, isn't it? We could use a bit of yellow. Why not? Use a bit of yellow and put that at the top of his head really. And I'm going to just start throwing the paint on, not thinking about where things are going to be, yeah? So we'll start with sienna and we'll come off, we'll go yellow, we'll go siennas and alizarenes in these shapes under his eyes and then the side of his face. We do want these lovely shapes to blend in, don't we? We're just looking at shadows around the face and in the eyes, some warms, yeah. I'm not trying to be too fussy. Yeah, I know he's got a white moustache. I know he's got white, and we can use blue. So we've got our alizarin and ultramarine because we're looking now at the bottom of his features and the side of his head. And again, we don't need to worry about the scarf and things that he's wearing. We're just adding shadows. Okay. I know I haven't used any wax. I'm just going to rely on gouache actually. Just on a few shapes where things change, that tonal value, like his neck goes a bit warmer again. You see what I'm doing? And I want the paint just to do a lot of the work for me. Just adding it, drop it here, drop it there, tip of the mouth. We can go over the shirt, don't let it, just have it lovely and loose. We can have the shape of his, I'll put this in blue. We can have the shape of his head scarf, something like that, which it is in a bit of shadow. But I want it to be a very colourful kind of character, okay. As you get to darker areas, you can have darker tone, so we use a bit more alizarin, a bit more blue and alizarin for some of the shadows around his head. So the colours are going to blend on their own, and that's what I want. And then the shape of the scarf going behind his neck, things like that. This can come off the picture a bit. I'm going to leave white though because I kind of like the background to be light in places because that will give me a lovely depth. So I can get that lovely shadow at the side of his neck and then under there as well. So it's all in one spot, a bit of splattering just to create depth, shadows. And then we can work into it slightly, but not too much, because I can use my brush and some tissue, because I want to remove some colour, and we can use this to remove the highlights from the painting. If it's not dry, you should be able to lift it off as well if it is dry, so you get a nice light area, as you can see. I'm going to add little bits of glazes while it's slightly wet, especially to the creases in his forehead. Just a few like that will give you the creases, can you see? And then it's kind of going lighter on that side. Lovely shadow in his nose. Lift off, soften an edge, yeah. Look at the eyes, look at the light catching the top of his brow. Use some alizarin, a touch of blue to get your purples, yeah. Because we're going to go really nice and dark in here, because these are going to be shadows. What we need to do is just make sure it's slightly dry. You don't want it to be running too much. And then we paint around just paint the dark shapes that I've actually put in around his eye. I do want it to slightly blend. And like I said, the eye is in shadow, so you can go over the pupil and the iris and just have that really nice dark area across the nose, side of the nose, yeah, like that. Now because it's slightly still wet, it's blending on its own. I much prefer doing things like this than being too detailed, yeah. Because you can always make things appear out of chaos, and that's the idea. Okay, so we can look at the nose now. We can look at the dark shape under the nose. It is drying a little bit now, so it's a lot better to handle the paint. I've got that lovely shadow around his nostril and at the side of his mouth, where is because I'm going to use some goulash. Now I know it's not. I know it's frowned upon by the watercolour, the fraternity, some of them. I'm going to use some burnt sienna there, just to glaze in. It's all a bit of adding light and tone. Can you see where these shadows are on his cheeks like that? Beautiful shapes down the side. We are going darker down towards the bottom of his moustache, and then you go into the mouth, and this is where we go kind of alizarin, burnt sienna, sorry, and it's quite dark there, so we want more alizarin. Yeah, you want more alizarin around the inside of that mouth, because it comes down there to his to the top of his chin, where the light's catching it. Take a little bit of light off for that bottom lip there, because that's where the light's just catching it in shadow. And then we're going a bit more sienna-fied. See, sienna just warms it up a bit, but it also gives these lovely kind of shadows. You create shadows with it. And I know he's got a lot of creases. He's got a lot of, sorry, not creases, stubble. So again, I'm going in with a nice big brush. Don't be too soft with the brushes. Get the shapes in, the textures. There's lovely warms. You can do it quickly with a bigger brush, you know, rather than filling about in a small one. A bit of yellow, just to give me that lovely warmth on the top of his eyelid there. And I've already got it there. But we can lift a bit off actually if you want it to be a bit lighter, you know. And the light catching side of his cheek and here, and soften areas. Yeah, so you can see that It's kind of appearing from all this chaos. Much more exciting doing this kind of thing than being too fussy. Now I'm going darker, less water. That's all you do. Same colours, less water. Okay? So I do want these to create a shadow. You can put some of the square bits in if you want. Around his head, where it's nice and dark, you can see. Doesn't matter if it runs, neither. Use the side of your brush, stops it being fussy. Then the side of his ear there. So I've got, like I said, blue and red. And then these are coming in from this side, and I've got some beautiful lines here. Yeah. Little shapes. I'm going to let that dry a bit, and I need the shadows to dry a bit, so not too much there. And then as you're coming up here, we're getting some more shapes and angles, just where the squares are, and it's the pattern of his headscarf. You see? I just kind of paint the shapes over them. Doesn't matter if it's blue and green, does it? No. Doesn't matter if it goes off the picture. Right, pick some green up then. Talking about green, I'm going to put my brush in it. There's ultramarine, nice dark. So we get to this side, we've got a lovely kind of shape there, and then that goes into cheek. This goes around this ear, which is quite dark actually. And that here. We can add the other things later actually. We don't have to start doing everything around him. Then we've got the shape at the back of his head, and we've got that lovely light on his shirt collar, bit over here. Again, drag it down with the brush so it blends, and then we've got the shape of his chin, a bit more alizarin, a bit of sienna. Main colours, aren't they? Just underneath there, we can get that shadow, and this goes into the side of his tendons in the neck. Okay. Yeah, so that's this collar. Kind of thing. And the dark at the back of his head. This is the point where I always get to this stage and you think it's so easy to start overworking it and doing too much detail. Okay? So keep it loose, keep standing back, start looking at the image. Now he's dry, do a bit of blowing, do a bit of blending. So you put water on anything that's slightly damp, and by damp I mean it's just got a dull glow to it and it's not shiny. Yeah, that's the difference. You don't want it to be shiny. I'm going to take this off because it's not got a lot of dirt on his forehead. It's mainly alizarin. Thicker pigment. Thick pigment, and then we'll just create the shadow. And when you go thick as well, it stops it running a little too much, if you know what I mean. And some curves, some lines, some dirt bits. Okay. And dry. Thick paint, less water. I'm going to use a little bit of green now. I haven't put any on the picture, but I'm going to use some green and a bit of red and blue. Lots of strong darks. So if I look at this eye, for instance, very strong dark. Yeah? but as we get into it, it changes because it goes from being strong to being cool, but in shadow, you see. So from here, for instance, I've got this, which we already did, but I'm just going to add more toner value, and it's warm, so you've got burnt sienna as well. So we glaze that into this area, for instance, and then in the middle of his forehead, because it's quite warm there, and then we come down from the nose like that, because this is a deep shape, and then in there it's quite dark. So this then blends into that, you can see, and it gives us that lovely kind of shape, and we can create his crow's feet from that. Create the darks in his forehead from down here, and then we go into the that lovely crease in the bag under his eye, yeah, and you've also got a crease there. Leave that lovely light area, even a bit more than you need to. Then we're coming down to the creases in his face, like that. Let's go that way and that way. Like I say, when you get to the bottom of the face, it's stronger. So I'll do the same again over here. Green and red, a touch of blue, gives you a very strong dark. Okay, I can put that in the eye, especially where it's near the eyelid, and then you can put some in the corner, and then into that clean brush, into that I've got warm sienna, which is this bit, which needs a bit purple in it because it needs to be darker, you see. So all the time you're looking at the contrast, and then we go into the dark bit. We've got a shadow there, you see, just cutting across this eye lid, which comes down here. So as we get to the bottom of that eye again, it goes warmer here, so we get some sienna, and then we got this lovely crease. Again, we can use alizarin ultramarine, quite a sharp angle where the nose is, same on that side, and that goes into his creases in the head, in the forehead, top of the nose, like that, creases around eyelids, okay, and then we can start adding any detail, because you want this colour then to go into creases in his forehead, so it's burnt sienna mainly. I know I put some in earlier, but you've got quite a lot of it now that is in the shadowy bits and going over from this side. So that white then goes a little bit, just a little bit darker, see? Trying not to start fiddling. Side of the head, again, lovely shape there. Side of his head, bit of shadow. Now you can see his hair as well. Creases. Coming from those eyes, his crow's feet, a line. I go across there. Keep them thin, possible, not too thick. And not so bad from a distance. And we decrease and the features, and there, goes into the chin. Okay, stand back. Now the nose. Just keep working your way down the picture, because the paint's going down the picture, but it's stopped. Can you see where it's stopped? Because I'm moving on quite quickly. So I've got this lovely kind of area on his nose, which is quite nice there as well. We blend line a bit, and then the tip of the nose because it's a bit shadowy, around the nostril, and there, that goes up there a bit, and then at the middle of the nose, I want to go darker there, so, yeah, in a bit, 'cause that's where his creases are going to be in his moustache, I mean. So I've got some greeny, green and alizarin, yeah. Make it on the kind of alizarin side, so we can put these creases in, like this, yeah. A crease there, crease here, side of his face. Because it's damp, it'll run into it. This one goes into the corner of his mouth, like that. And then we've got this lovely sharp one there, side of his face. Nostril, just about see it. Don't need to put them in too much. And then we start working into the shadow under the moustache. Because this gives you the shapes at the top of his moustache, not on the hairs, see? So we just indicate where they were going to be. And we get this kind of curve of his mouth, because he's actually talking or he's trying to talk. So you get that curve, and then you get the corners of his mouth, like that. Let's go into these areas. Don't bother about putting blue on men, because they're, you know, they've got stubble there, so it makes it better if you're doing a fella. And it blends in to the bottom of his chin. Just watch for any runs here. Don't want it running down his face. Bottom of his chin, again red and blue. So I just left that moustache, like the edges of it, looking like a moustache, you know. And then we can see where this bottom lip's going to be. Curve of it. You got a crease there as well. As it comes into the sides, creases. Yeah. Around the ears. That's quite a nice shape there. And then an ear. Nice dart there as well. I want the light on his chin, so I want that. I can use a bit of goulash. Bit of warmth, again, because we want this sienna underneath the chin, especially there. And that's where we're going to put some of his stubble later. A little bit of a glaze on the neck, underneath. Keep it warm. Got reflected lights as well, hasn't it? And then use green and red just to bring out these edges where the shirt colour hits the neck, for instance. Just gives a bit more depth, okay? That's looking okay, actually. Stand back. It's a bit low, isn't it? You want to see it. So I'll drop my camera. I'm getting good at this. I get a job on telly. Lift the picture up a bit. And slip in there. Push it up a bit. That's it. Okay. Now it's chopped his head off. Is that? That's better. Sorry. And so that's quite nice. So all I need to do really is do a bit of glazing anywhere where, you know, you've got warmer colour, so it's like the side of his face here, or this cheek, which I put it in earlier, but it's kind of disappeared. Can you see? Same with this one. It goes nice and warm there. You can tell the moustache is there, so that's fine. When this dries, like I said, I'm going to add the goulash, not goulash, goulash, The top of his head, a little bit darker where it goes into the headscarf, and then it goes a little bit lighter around there because that's where you get the light, don't it? So you can soften that edge and you can darken that edge. So you can leave that. These lovely creases, you can put them in with a pen as well, you know. Don't have to, have to play about with your finger, with the brush. That's nice and dark. Tip of his nose, that's where it finishes, crease, mouth, crease, and then a line, and a line here. Okie doke, line, and a line. Interesting face, love it. Excuse me. Excuse me. And then we'll emphasise that centre of his neck and the light catching the tendon on each side. Okay, so it should be lighter that. We can dry it off a little bit. This is quite a nice. Go a little bit higher with that, that's better, and a bit softer with this around the side of the nose. You have to think about the two triangles on each side of his nose, alright, like that, and the light catching the middle triangle to create that depth. Okay, so we'll dry it off, use a bit of goulash because, well, it's not too long this. I'm not finished. I can add more to his turban, but I'm just going to show you what we're going to do with his eyes and his moustache. Right, get your little brush. I mainly use 3 brushes now, but with this next one, I don't really possess a one-edge brush, but I have got a very fine one. So this one, which it was a present from the SA many moons ago, and I've never used it, I don't think yet. And so I'm going to use that. I'm going to use it for my goulashy moustache and everything. Okay, so I'm just using white. Now if you put water with gouache, you end up with a darker white because it dries slightly darker, doesn't it? So that's what you can be building up to. So because I've not used it, it's gone all scraggly. Sorry, and I didn't dip it in the water. Tony, what are you doing? And then for me, I'm going to just add just a few of these hairs. And surprising what they'll do. Just a few of them are catching the sunlight or the light, not them all. So you just add a few. You see, like that in between, because the majority of them are in the shadow. Anyway, and then we can do the same around these creases, in his face here, and they actually go round the side of his face, down into his chin. Again, don't have to do them all, but if you do the ones that are on the periphery of a fold in his chin, then you get that look of lots of stubble, you see. Just like that. Without actually doing too many. Otherwise you'll be here all day. We've also got some here at the side of his face. You know, little things like that. We can use this as well for painting little squares on his headscarf. If you want to, we can put things in like, where there's a square there. Square from an angle, you know what I mean? And then you can add a few of these, not everywhere, just a few. And can you see how it's gone dry? It's gone dark, lighter, darker, sorry. So now I can add a lighter tone, which is pure pigment, because it's sunk. The infuriating thing about goulash, it goes darker as it dries. This is why you have to put really strong tonal values in, strong pure whites, because you're working your way up to kind of pure white actually. Well, we're not usually doing this with watercolour, because usually we use the paper as the white, not the put a bit here, like that. Side of his hair, got a bit there. You can also use it for any highlights you missed, but don't go mad, because we can use it here, you see, or the side of his face there, chin, and the light's catching it. You can mix it with the colour, the sienna, for instance, and repaint things that, so it's the same colour as what you've got underneath, but you're going a little bit lighter, which is not what we're supposed to do, with, like I said, with watercolour, but the rules are, there are no rules. So here we've got some lovely kind of shapes, oblongs. I'm going to use a bigger brush to be here all day. Using it. So here we've got some light catching the sides of this. You see how it's going away? They've got some on top as well. But the light's just catching it, and then you're getting things like that where they're just kind of curving. Like that. This brings out those little checker pattern. Yeah. Same here, where we've got this light. It's in that, and then this. As long as you make a square, it doesn't really matter where it is. That's it. Like that. We've got the square here. See, start adding water to it, and it's too light, too dark. Okie dokie. Beautiful. I much prefer doing stuff like that rather than being too fussy. I know his shirts disappeared. I get the collar like that. Same on this side, but we've got white there as well. So I was trying to leave some of that white. Doesn't matter though. add a few black blobs, not black blobs, ultimate alizarin green mixed together. You can add blue if you want to make a black blob, and then we can create create some of these black shapes here. Yeah, they do change tone. Oh, like that. That's it. That's all you need to do. Few blobs at the end, nice and dark, against the background. Nice shadow there as well. Bit of a splatter. Looks like you just throw it on. What you have? Gap creates negative space. Same over here. And stop. Dead. Never to go again. Come out a little bit of yellowy white. I wasn't going to use yellow. I just want the light on his eyelid here. It's quite strong. Bit there as well. Whiter. Okay, and you can glaze all the things, so yeah, if you want to knock something back, like his creases, like that, and they're going into the side of his face as well. That's it really. Stop fiddling. First thing you can say is, I'll just, but I will just, I'm just going to put some warmth in his neck. Seems to be getting quite a bit from reflected lights. Stop. Turn it. Get the tape off. How is it? I'm going too quick at these. Right. Yeah, I'll probably darken his eyes a little bit. Doesn't look dark enough on the picture, on the camera, and a bit of glazing around his forehead. Because if you actually look, it's too light. So you get a bit of sienna, some water. Even I don't need the picture, just look at the side of his photo, can you see? It's darker. I've got this as well, which is darker. Well, that should be going into a shadow up there. And the eyes, like I said, we're using green, blue and red. You can add them all together if you want. And the eyes, especially where they hit the eyelid, are very dark. Yeah. Then they go a bit darker over in the corner. Same with the mouth. Very dark. And there you go. Lovely chap. There's his mouth. Bottom lip. Knock it back. Too light. That's all there is. All there is to it. Yeah. Good job in it. Stop. Very sunny day. It's like we've got here when it's a bit cold. Right, thank you guys. See you. You can carry on with that if you wanted. I think some of you do anyway. I think you've got that detail in it. But I've had enough of it. Quite happy with it, I think, now. And I'll see you next week. Probably Tuesday afternoon, could do one this week. Anyway, it's Bedding in the Style of, sorry, I'm looking at camera. Bedding in the Style of on Tuesday afternoon, I think. I'll put something up in week 6. Okay, have a go. Get some loads of colour on. See you soon. Have a good weekend. Bye.